Please like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
I'm on my way to see live music for the first time, and I'm so much more anxious than I think I have any right to be because this band I'm about to see, I'm completely and utterly obsessed with, and I have seen every interview YouTube will physically let me watch, and I have listened to them so much. At this point, it's probably doing something unhealthy to me. I don't know how that would work, but it's happening. And when I listen to, and this is because when I listen to them, all of a sudden I feel like I'm big and like I'm powerful and like nothing can touch me when I'm walking down the street, which is really not something I feel at this, like ever at this point in my life, and I feel like so small and clunky and like I don't fit into my own body right, and I'm kind of starting to think that the middle school mentality that I'll never fit into any scenario I go to is just gonna be how I live my life, and I feel like I just have to accept this at this point. So it doesn't make any sense that I'm this anxious to see this band. But I'm trying to think about what I can expect, and I'm just kind of thinking about how in movies, punk shows are always like a bunch of loud, aggressive, intoxicated white boys, and that doesn't really seem like my scene. And I'm spiraling a bit, and I'm looking around on the train, and I see this girl who's about like 9 or 11. I don't know how age works, but she's there, and she's with her dad, and I'm like, wonder if they're going to the punk show. And I'm more of a mess, and I'm still spiraling. And then I get off the train, and we get to the venue, and it doesn't look like a venue, but it definitely is a venue because I get inside, and it's dark, and everyone's bigger than me, and it's really loud. And I pick a direction, and I just start walking, and I see my 8th grade math teacher, and because of course I see my 8th grade math teacher, so I go up and talk to my 8th grade math teacher, because that's how he wants to spend his Friday. And I get up to him, and it was a lot less awkward than you would think, and he asked me about music and what bands I listen to, and I forget every single band I've ever heard of ever, and I'm like, this one! And thankfully I'm interrupted by the first band that's up, and they introduce themselves, and they have this very nice, welcoming, like, speech about just, like, accepting everyone who's at the show, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then they start screaming, and they sound like they're wounded animals, but then there's this weird pop music playing underneath it, and they're still screaming, and then after each song ends, the front person goes, thank you, and then continues screaming for the next song, and it's awesome. And then this goes on for a bit, and it stops, and then I kind of creep out of the corner that I'm in, and the next band is up, and they again start screaming, of course, as you do, and but these guys they legitimately sound like they're demons. And like just from how they're moving to the way this man's like eyes look and whatever the noise is that's coming out of him, and for some reason I start to relax a bit, and people are starting to dance around me, and in like this sort of like way where it feels like there's a big sense of unity in the room, and I don't know where that's coming from. And then this lady behind me goes, well, that was aggressive, and I'm like, yeah, it was aggressive. And then that band, they're done, and then I'm like, my band is next. So I kind of like creep up to the front middle of the room, so I'm next to this woman who's bragging to her friends about all the new patches she's put on her jacket, and I'm like, I support your DIY craft so much. And then my band has gone up to tune their instruments, and I'm like, and then I text my friend, and I'm like, I see the front woman, and she's like, and I'm like, and this is all over text. And then I'm so excited, and I can feel everyone else is just as excited as I am, and it feels like the room is like buzzing, which is so crazy because no one's ever excited about what I'm excited about. And then they start playing, and it's like all of the air and sound gets sucked out of the room, and we're all watching them, and we're all just so excited to be there, but it's like beyond excitement at this point. And it's like everybody is where I am in my head right now, and we're all just there together, and we're all having the same experience. And then they start to play more songs, and they start to like get into the music a little bit more, and everyone else around me is doing that as well, and they start to play my favorite songs, and apparently everybody else's favorite songs too. And then people are starting to dance more, and there's this woman in front of me, and all she's doing is like jumping up and down, which in any other context would look ridiculous, but it doesn't at all look ridiculous now, and like I can do that too. So I start to like move and like jump around a bit, and then I get that same sense of power and freedom that I get when I listen to it normally, but it's like fresher, or it was like revived or something. And then someone kind of nudges me and like pushes me out of the way and like takes my front middle spot, and I'm about to like get internally offended because conflict is scary. And but then I just see that this woman was just making space for her girlfriend to go up next to her, and I'm like, this is a room full of punk queer women, and I I didn't know that was a thing, and I just need a minute to like sit and process that. And I look around and I see the girl from the train sitting on her dad's shoulders with like these big clunky headphones so her ears don't get all messed up. And I would think that it would be weird for a kid to be here, but she looks like she's exactly where she's supposed to be. And I start to realize that I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be too. And so I just let myself hold on to that, and the last thing I want to do is run away and hide in a corner, and I really feel like I belong here. And I'm so happy, and I've never felt this kind of happy before. And then like the band is still in a show, and there's like a mosh pit that's forming next to me, which I don't go in because I would get squashed like a little tiny person pancake. But I'm like on the side of it, and I can still feel all of like the energy and from it, and I'm still like kind of like riding off of that excitement that I'm feeling and that everybody else is feeling, as previously mentioned. And then eventually the band, like they stop playing, and I come back to my body, and I realize how much I have to pee and get a glass of water. And I really don't want to leave the room, but I realize that I have to. And I kind of look at the front woman, and I'm like, ah! And then I leave and get on the subway, and I'm looking at all these other people who are at the show with me, and I can tell because they're holding like little various bits of merch or whatnot. And I'm looking at them, and I'm realizing that they're all like me in some way, and in so many different ways they're like me, which I really didn't think was a thing, and I didn't realize that I had something to grow up into before. I don't really know what I thought would happen to me, but I just never had an image that my life could like go somewhere and I could stay being like the weirdo person I am and have it make sense in the world around me. And I started to realize that the small feeling that I'm holding on to, I don't need it anymore, and I never needed it, and that I'm not that small person, and I'm not going to be small forever, and I don't need to be, and that I'm going to be okay, and it's just so crazy to think about. Thank you.